Okay, well, after realizing that that last video just didn't had oh boy didn't have any audio, and doing a lot of fighting with my computer this morning to get something uh, something recorded. I think we've now got the audio working properly, and if not, well, oh boy, don't know what happened, but for some reason I think my computer automatically disabled my microphone for a bit there, so I had to manually, enable it after starting recordings, which was odd, but I think it's working now. So I did, well actually, I guess I did reference in the video that has no audio that I was kind of done with playing ranked Throne of Eldraine at least. I might play some traditional with the gems. Just not too impressed with how it is with the arena bots, which is apparently a consensus that most people have. Because, you get in a lane, but the bots aren't really good at drafting synergistically, which really screws you because they'll be taking cards that they probably shouldn't be in this set, and then that wrecks you. So, yeah, it's been okay. In theory, I like it, but from what I understand, my discontent is not a outlier. Most people think that it's quite bad on Arena, and not just because of Mill. But I said that I was probably going to just hoard some gold, like this little dragon here. God, that thing's ugly. Till M20 comes out, like early December, and maybe do a couple ranked drafts of that, and then maybe shortly after that, I'm just going to start hoarding gold in preparation for Theros Beyond Death, so that I can have a lot of, ranked drafts on that going. But I decided that I want to play some Ravnica Allegiance. I think I'll fire off a Ravnica Allegiance draft, and that has nothing to do with the fact that I helped Nathan draft a 7-2 Gruul deck, and I was like, damn, I wish that was me right now. But I do have fond memories of the Ravnica sets. They're kind of like, they have that strong identity deck that Eldraine could theoretically have, but the guilds kind of make it better for the bots to draft, I suppose. So we're going to give it a shot. And also we have an Azorius quest, so we're going to, of course, force Azorius. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Wow, Theater of Horrors, huh? That's a strong card. I mean, if you're in Rakdos, just drawing a card every turn is really good. It's good in it's good in aggro decks, it's good in control decks, it's good in any kind of aggro deck you could play, really. So, I think it's definitely stronger than any other card in the pack, though there are a couple decent cards. Pitiless Pontiff is fine. Incubation's fine. Frenzied Earrings is great. Senate Griffin's great, in terms of commons. But Theater of Horrors power level is just so strong. Okay, well. So we have Thrash, which is like a Sucker Punch effect, where he deals damage to yield its power to target creature or planeswalker, which I don't think comes up that often in Ravnica. Domri is pretty good. What's the other one? Is the other one Kaya? Kaya's okay. Neither of them are like Garruk or 6-mana Chandra level bombs, but being able to kill a creature is really strong. Also, if we ended up in a Rakdos deck, we still can cast this for 2 red. And if we're in a Gruul deck, we can also make a 4/4 trample for 4, which is fine. So, good removal here. Vindictive Vampire is not too bad. Probably better in like a deck where a lot of creatures die. Dagger Caster is really good, especially because if memory serves, Orzhov is a little more prevalent on Arena, because I think it's underdrafted by the bots a little bit. The Esper Shard, specifically. But I think Thrash is just quite a bit stronger than Vindictive Vampire and Dagger Caster in terms of what you can get for it. Alright, it's a pretty it's a pretty good good spot to pick up a Skewer the Critics here, especially if we do end up in like, you know, Rakdos. Quite a strong effect to, you know, deal 3 damage to any target. Even if you have to pay 3 mana, sometimes that's what you got to do. But obviously, if you can get it for 1, it's insane. Sentinel's Mark is pretty good. It's, you know, a flash enchantment that kind of acts as a combat trick, so you can add a 1 power and 2 toughness to a creature during combat and blow someone out potentially. But I think that considering Skewer the Critics is also, these are probably equivalently powered cards, and we're already like 2 red cards in, I think we're going to use this as a tiebreaker. Great Cognitive Perception is pretty good though. Though we aren't anywhere near touching, you know, blue, so I think we're probably going to take the Skewer the Critics. Let's see where this goes. Got a couple things. We got a Rakdos Roustabout, which is pretty good. It's you know, if it's blocked, it triggers, you know, our Theophores and our Skewer the Critics. Ill-Gotten Inheritance is kind of like the sleeper MVP card for what am I trying to say here? For what's it called? For Arena. But I think that you see these a little bit later, and I don't want to, you know, I've picked 3 non-creatures, and I don't want to have a low creature count if we end up in like a Rakdos deck. So I'll happily take this like later on in the pack, but Drillbit's also okay. We don't currently have ways to trigger it, and you want to be able, this is one where you want to be able to trigger it to consider being happy about it. Skewer the Critics, you'll pay 3 mana for that effect and feel like fine. Drillbit, you won't be too happy about it for the most part, so I'm going to take the Rakdos Roustabout here. Not a lot of good cards for us. Now we're in packs 4 and 5. We're kind of looking for things that might indicate something's open. We got Arrester's Admonition is an excellent common. We have a Mammoth Spider, which is an excellent common. We do have, you know, two Rakdos cards. Rakdos Guildgate is not out of the question here. I might pick it up and just kind of see where we're going with this. Taking the Rakdos Guildgate also might let us splash in Gruul if that's what's open here with this Mammoth Spider, although Arrester's Admonition is also something worth noting. I think we'll take the Rakdos Guildgate here and kind of hold out, see what we can do. Because we're not seeing a lot of cards that work for us as a Rakdos deck, but we are seeing a number of Gruul cards that are quite good. Galloping Lotus Frog is fine, but obviously, if we're going to pivot into Gruul from this point. Yeah, it seems like black might not be all that open. Only black card is Understays Embrace, which is fine, but nothing really special. Gravelhide Goblin is a red card, but it's basically a Gruul card. I mean, it's like a 2-mana 2/1. It's not great. This is also a set that has a lot of 1/1 tokens, so it even becomes worse. The fact that it's not a 2/2 really matters in this set. I think Storeform Hybrid is probably the pick here. I think this might be just better than Gravelhide Goblin, considering these are both like essentially going to be Gruul cards, the way that we're kind of analyzing them right now. Yeah, sure. Well, we got another Rakdos Roustabout. This is a pretty good card. I wonder if the bots are like underrating it, and that's why we're seeing it here, pick 7. Not sure. I mean, I like it enough to take it here. Wrecking Beast would be the second pick. Maybe Dead Rebels. Interesting sort of situation. But I think we'll take it because this card is pretty decent. Okay, so we're at the... No, we're not at the wheel yet. Macabre Mockery is... It's not terrible, but it's not super exciting. I think here I'm going to go for the Gravelhide Goblin now, because like I said, I think we might be ending up... We're not seeing a lot of like really strong black cards. These are going pretty late, and these are fine in Gruul. So I think we're going to take this and maybe consider pivoting into Gruul, and then maybe splashing like for Theater of Horrors, because this is totally fine to splash for. Roustabouts are probably not. Yeah, okay. So this is the wheel. On the wheel we see a Mammoth Spider and a Rubble Belt Recluse, so I think Gruul is probably what it is, what this draft is going to be about. Kind of unfortunate, because I don't think I've played a lot of Rakdos, and it would have been cool to get that going. This card is just really great. I mean, like, I really like the Rubble Belt Recluse. The Mammoth Spider might be better because Orzhov is such a, Orzhov and Azorius, like I said, the Esper Shard I think is the big thing that everyone's done in RNA. But Rubble Belt Recluse is undeniably extremely strong. And, I don't know, if we open a Bomb Rakdos card in Pack 2, and then Black is open in Pack 2, like, it's totally possible that we could stay the course with our Rakdos deck. I think I'll go for the Rubble Belt Recluse here, and we'll see how that pays us off. I think we can get a Mammoth Spider fairly late. Yeah, the bots just must undervalue this card, because we're not really seeing any other black cards, or they're just, all the bots are playing Orzhov right now. Dagger Caster is pretty sweet, because of how prevalent Orzhov tended to be when I played this, but back when it was the standard set. So I'll definitely pick it up here pretty happily. Got a Spewer, which I might pick up. Not sure if I'll play it. It's not super exciting, but, again, red is one of our colors. Green seems to be the other one that's coming in, and Sultai Terracaker is not that interesting to us. I think Spewer, especially if we have a Theater of Horrors, can be nice, because this card isn't that good, but I mean, it becomes better the more, like, Spectacle you have, and if we're running a deck that has, like, Theater of Horrors and Skewer the Critics, like, those are both excellent cards. This is one that, sticks around, and you want to be able to repeatedly skewer Spectacle, trigger Spectacle. So I think that's the pick here. It's really late Ill-Gotten Inheritance. No other cards we could play, probably. Stormstrike isn't that interesting. And we'll see. Tower Defense is not going to get played. You probably don't get played. Deface is a sideboard card. Prime Speaker of Vanifar. That's kind of cool. What do we have other than that, though? Clamor Shaman is pretty good. Being able to make something unable to block will be good for slamming in with, like... This is just good for an aggro deck. This is also just good for a mid-rangey deck that wins by attacking. I mean, making one thing block is like the difference between Rubble Belt Recluse, like, just getting to attack for free and not a lot of the time, Even if this thing will die, Prime Speaker Vanifar. I want to make it happen. No, I'm currently, sorry, the clear pick is Clamor Shaman. I'm just considering, like, gem drafting, because I already have 4 copies of Prime Speaker Vanifar, so it might be good enough to take here for 40 gems, and I think that's actually accurate, so I think I'm going to do that. Sorry, Clamor Shaman, you're pretty good, but Flames of the Razor is pretty awesome. I mean, like I said, Orzhov is kind of big in this set, so this is pretty awesome. We have a number of creatures. Well, we got 1 creature. So we could have 2 creatures that could be power 4 or greater. Hopefully we can, bump that up as we go through the draft. But this is a strong removal spell. And if we're playing against Orzhov decks that have a lot of little tokens, and we can trigger that second half, we'll be very happy we have this card. Scorchmark's pretty good. I mean, it is kind of like it's just kind of a removal spell. Dagger Caster might just be better, though. Again, if Orzhov is like the story, this kind of really operates as a strong removal spell. Also, this does work with Blade Brand if we were a Rakdos deck, which doesn't seem to be what's happening necessarily, but we'll see. Maybe we'll just be like mono red. So, considering there's so much Orzhov going around, again, I'm kind of operating on the assumption that it's similar to when this was on Arena, or when this was the standard set on Arena. I think this card's probably the best, better than Scorchmark probably. Cool, got some decent green cards. Actually, Wilderness Wreck is not a thing. Regenesis isn't terrible. It's expensive. Footlight Fiend is not that exciting. I mean, we can ping something for Skewer. Not Skewer, I keep calling Skewer. For Spectacle. Which is pretty cool, but yeah, that might be better. Regenesis is really overpriced, probably, but we might be... Although we might be more of a controlling deck, so if we end up in like a really weird kind of like controlling deck, we'll take that and be happy about it. Light up the stage. Ooh, a Collision. Okay, so we got two good cards for us here. We're gonna take Collision. Collision can either, it's main boardable, which is nice, so it's kind of like it's kind of like a free plummet because we would definitely play Colossus. So considering it seems like we're gonna be Gruul, we're going to take this pretty happily over the Screw the Critics of Carnival, though. The card's pretty good. I don't think this is a card to pick, considering, even off the splash, it's good off the splash, but we're pretty low on creatures still. So Spear Skewer does not really, I like to think of it as more as an enchantment. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're 5 creatures in halfway through the draft. That's not great. I think we're going to take the Rampaging Rendhorn because of that. Because if this deck doesn't have creatures, we're not going to get there. Plus, we want creatures that help us trigger Flames of the Razor. So I think this is just better than Carnival/Carnage, especially because, we're not red-black. We're red-green. I think we're now kind of happy about it to see a really late Savage Smash. So it looks like we read the signals in pack 1, and now we're reaping the rewards because we're actually getting some really strong late Gruul commons. Love to see like Frenzied Airings and maybe another Savage Smash come through. This card is insane. Like 2/2 and then it fights something is just massive. Just such a strong common. Bullrat Clan Crusher, totally fine card. It's great. Works pretty well with the Riot mechanic. We can remove counters from things to shock stuff, which is pretty awesome, and it's also a 5/5 for 4. This card is just really good. Clamor Shaman Wheels. Wow, that's really good fortune for us, considering we opted for 40 gems and we're not even punished for it. This is what it should feel like when you find your lane. Yeah, we'll just snap that right up. Burning Tree Vandal, great Gruul card as well. Lets you rummage. You always have it rummage. Scorchmark Wield. Wow. Mammoth Spider is also enticing, but like Scorchmark is just, it is. Let's see how our curve is looking. We have a lot of 5-drops. We don't have a lot of 2-drops. We don't want to get run over by an opposing aggro deck, so I think Scorchmark is going to help us survive that. I don't know if we'll play Storm Strike. We're not really. That's where that cover Bolt Recluse. May play a second one. I mean, we're looking to be like a lot more slow. Well, Carnival, maybe off the splash. If we got another Rakdos Guildgate for free later down the line. Tell me the guild pack, what's this do? Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, draw a card. Okay. So that's currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's pretty good, and it's a mana rock. What's it? What are we taking it over? It also allows us to splash easier for our Theater of Horrors, which is something to consider. Rumbling Ruin is what we would be taking if this wasn't in the pack. And this is a totally fine card, but I think that this probably serves our deck a little better because the card draw will be really nice. Oh, well, I guess we just made the choice. Whoops. I was going to talk more about that, but I guess we decided. But yeah, the Tome of the Guild pack, I mean, we'll probably pick up a couple more Gruul cards too, or multicolored cards as well. This lets us splash for our Theater of Horrors a lot easier, which is nice. Just a lot of reasons to run this in the deck. The Rumbling Rune could be a good finisher, especially if we have a lot of like counters on the board. Excuse me, which we have a couple like. Excuse me, we have a couple Riot cards. You know, we got like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not a huge amount, but you know, it's totally fine. Titanic Brawl is quite good. You know, just a nice fight spell, especially if we're tending towards bigger creatures with our deck. You know, like Robovel Recluse, Rampaging Renhorn, and Bullrat Clan Crusher are all cards that probably rumble pretty well with a fight spell. So I think this is a pretty easy pickup here. But still looking to you know, get some creatures wherever possible, because we don't want to be super creature light. We're currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're doing a lot better than before, but we only have one pack left to kind of shore that up. So I think we're going to take the Footlight Fiend here. Almost nothing else in the pack is really in our colors anyway. And it's a totally fine little 1-drop. It can, you know, trade for a 2/2, which is cool. It can, you know, chump block and then, I don't know, trigger. You can just like run it into something to trigger a Skewer the Critics or a Theater of Horrors if we need to. You know, we can do a little bit. There's a fair bit of reason why this is good in our deck. It's not ideal. Gruul doesn't really care about these little dinky guys, but it's a 1/1. I'm gonna get a Rumbling Ruins here. Totally happy to pick this up now. Nothing else in the pack is super enticing. Acrobat's pretty cool, but we gave up on the Rakdos a long time ago. I think I will take the Mammoth Spider here. I've passed up too many Mammoth Spiders to pass up this one. I know if I take the Titanic Brawl here, I'm going to get punished by Azorius Flyers at some point pretty aggressively, I bet. So we'll take the Mammoth Spider here. Pretty weak pack. Gore Clan Wrecker's fine. Like 4 mana to make a 3/3 with Menace, or a 2/2 Menace with Haste. Both are like not super exciting for 4 mana. So it's a pretty cuttable card, and we have a lot of cards right now, so. Robot Runner, 3/3 for 3 is totally cool. Can't be blocked by creature tokens, so those Words decks are not going to be super thrilled. Totally decent 3-drop, happy to have it. Might take the Feral Maca over the Titanic Brawl, because we seem a little like light on 2-drops. It's kind of unfortunate, because obviously Titanic Brawl is a way better card, because it's like removal. But again, we seem to be kind of like a weird, kind of like, not controlling, but like we need to survive to the late game sort of deck. And we, you know, to get there, we need 2-drops to kind of stop us from getting run over, or we can use them to apply pressure to decks that want to go longer than we do. Excuse me. So I think that while Titanic Brawl is obviously a much better card than Feral Maca, I think with our current deck we kind of need a 2-mana 2/2. Do we need another? Oh, sorry, I was going to say Rumbling Rune, but there's a Sora Form Bobby here. This is a 2-mana that we actively want, because later on it becomes a 6/6, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, sorry, second Rumbling Runes is not that good anyway. Steeple Creeper probably doesn't make the cut, because we don't have blue. Let's take Goblin Gathering. I don't think a Goblin Gathering deck probably is high enough of a payoff for us. Act of Treason, we don't really have sack outlets, so this card isn't all that good. Sure. Doubtful we play that, because we have other like good cards that kind of act as removal. Alright, well. Kind of not. Wait. Oh, that's true, I guess. I took every rare I took. Yeah, because I had 4 Theater of Horrors, and I had 4 Vanifars. And then I also took the... What was the other rare I took? I already forgot. I'm pretty sure I put it in the deck, too, because... Oh, Tome of the Guild Pack. That's a pretty good draft. 80 gems of... 80 gems, and we still end up with a pretty strong deck. Like, pretty good. Hopefully the deck performs, and then it'll be all around possibly one of the best drafts in terms of just, like, value I've probably ever seen. Okay, so... probably going to take out Carnival, not two. Even with the 2 sources of black, I might play 1 Swamp actually. It's for 3 sources. I'm not super excited about it. Check what's our. Got a lot more red, so go for that. I wasn't too excited about Carnival. I would rather splash Ill-Gotten Inheritance in this not meta. Well, I guess meta. Again, when I talk about meta, I'm assuming that the bots have not changed, so that Orzhov and Azorius are somewhat overdrafted. And it's actually on the table to put Ill-Gotten Inheritance in, but I'll have to see. I might just take out some cards. So we have how many 2-drops? Do we need to play the Pharaoh Lockout? So we got 1, 2, 3. 3 is pretty low. Pharaoh Lockout currently looks like it stays. Oh, I didn't realize that cat has 6 eyes. That's not the amount of eyes a cat should have. Ideally, need no judgment, but just saying. Collision's pretty good. Thrash is going to be really good for us. Might cut the Footlight Fiend. It's fine, but it's not like must-have. The Spear Spewer is better just because we have Theater of Horrors. If we didn't have Theater of Horrors, I would cut it, because of course then the only other reason to have it would be Skewer the Critics, and like I said, casting that for 3 is fine. But this needs like something, and I don't want to be paying 4 to activate its own ability to then, you know, cast cards with it. I would much rather have this in play to do it for free. But for Life Fiend, I think can go. I might cut a Daggercaster. Daggercaster is pretty good though. We don't have the silly little Blade Brand combo that really goes off, but if Orzhov is the truth still, we'll be really happy to have 2 cards that could possibly be like 4 for 1s a lot of the time. That's not even that outrageous. Again, like I just was kind of like peeking in on my Nathan's drafts that he did with Gruul, and he had 1 Daggercaster, and he just like dropped it, and it was against an Orzhov deck, and of course they had like 2 1/1s in the air. They also had like the 2/1 with Vigilance at common. You know, they had like the Viscopa Vampire. Like, there's a lot of stuff that 1 damage kills, especially in Orzhov, so it's super punishing for them. But I'm also not sure what I would get rid of. The Rampaging Dragon Horde is good. The reason why I'm trying to stay away from cutting like these cards of this power level is because of Flames of the Razebore. Because we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, only 4, 5, 6 cards that like trigger the secondary effect of Flames of the Razebore, which is not great. Otherwise, I would probably like cut the Rampaging Rendhorn. But we really want to be able to get that secondary effect whenever we use this, because, you know, there's a lot of dinky creatures. There's a lot of like hitting 2 power for everything else is good in this format. It's really strong. You want to be getting this. Without the second half, this card is like just too expensive, you know. Clamor Shaman is good. I do like Clamor Shaman. I do like Burning Tree Vandal. I do like Rubble Bell Runner. All of my low drop cards are pretty strong. Maybe I still cut the Feral Maca. I mean, like, you know, we do have a lot of action on turn. Like, we still have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to do on turn 2 potentially. You know, and then we have a lot on turn 3, so it's not a travesty. Although some of our stuff is like requires creatures to be in play. You know, we got like our Savage Master, our Thrash, our Colossus. Totally good. Like, how many cards does this draw me right now? Because this is 5 mana, so it's pretty expensive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 might still be good enough. Especially when we still have the Theater of Horrors splash. Maybe it's not, though. I mean, like, us ramping to, we don't have anything to ramp to 7 on. It will draw us cards. See, the drawing cards makes it hard to cut this, honestly. But maybe we'll be playing a lot of multicolored cards before this even comes down. So maybe it's not that good. If we cut this, we have a Swamp and we have a Rakdos Guildgate to play the Theater of Horrors, which isn't a lot. Considering how powerful Theater of Horrors is, I think I'm going to try and keep this in, but you're on notice. I really like the Clomber Shaman being able to, like, let us get through with the Rumblebelt Recluse that wouldn't get through otherwise, maybe, Plus it riots, so it has synergy with, like, our Bull Rack Clan Crusher and our Rumbling Ruins, and we don't have a ton of, like, riot yet, so maybe 2 Dagger Casters is a bit gratuitous. Man, if I would have taken more Guildgates, I could have played Xanathar and had a weird deck. I mean, Daggercaster and Flames of the Razor are both ways to really punish a Orzhov deck that's gone quite wide. I don't know if Daggercaster is... Well, man, I wish I had slightly... Yeah, the Spear is not good, but Theater of Horrors makes it something I kind of actively want to play. Do I? Is it enough? Because, like, if I don't have these 2 cards together, this sucks. I don't really like this at all. Theater of Horrors, obviously if I'm playing aggressively enough, I probably can do damage to, get some damage through on my opponent. Hope. I mean, Daggercaster does trigger Theater of Horrors, and ostensibly, maybe I don't have to trigger this all that often. We are kind of an aggressive deck. I can use it with Bull Rack. I can use it with... This is a tough one. This is really tough. I feel like we have the ability, like, giving that trample makes it easy to trigger. Giving this, I mean, the threat, quote unquote, is a way to get damage through. Just trample in general is good. I think this is still good enough, right? We want, like, a really free and automatic way to kill the, or to trigger a Theater of Horrors, Man, this is a tough last cut. So difficult to choose. Because I didn't feel really good about the Daggercaster. I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to percolate on it. Maybe I'll throw this in, like, Ben Stark's Discord and see what some folks say about it. But I think that possibly Spear Spewer, Tome of the Guild Pack are cuttable. Cuttable cards for sure, but we'll just have to see how... We'll just have to kind of think on it more and maybe get some outside advice on that. So we'll see. But other than that, I mean, like, I'm happy with the deck. Good problems to have, trying to figure out what the last cut should be because you like all the cards so much. Like, that's generally a good sign for Limited. So hopefully the deck performs when I come back to it a little later. Still studying for finals, so probably not gonna, commit to a full on session of just burning through all the games. Especially since, unlike when we did Guilds of Ravnica, this isn't going down in an hour. So, but I think this is okay so far. But yeah, I will probably take a quick screen grab and see what some random people on the internet think. Yeah. All right. See ya.